Hello and welcome to a new edition of Business Insider. I'm your host for tonight, Mohammed Abdelrahim. Tonight we'll be talking about the industrial zones. The concept of the industrial zones, the types of industrial zones. Egypt does have numerous leading industrial zones. The role of the industrial zones in attracting direct foreign investment, and also their role in increasing exports, and also the challenges facing the industrial zones. And we'll be doing that in the company of our dear distinguished guest with us here in the studio, Dr. Tasneem Elwy. And Dr. Tasneem is the ex-counselor for the IDA, that's the Industrial Development Authority. Dr. Tasneem, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you with us.
It's all my pleasure. Thank you very much. Good
Thank you, Dr. Tasneem. So, industrial zones. First of all, let's talk about the industrial zones that we do have here in Egypt. Of course, the Suez Canal industrial zone is the first that comes to mind, or Ain al-Sukhna, but you tell us about the many that we have here in Egypt.
Okay, talking about that, industrial zone is a place, it's an area that's dedicated just for industry. Let me talk about the development. First of all, what's a development? When people, in the first beginning of life, people used to live on the Nile River, and then they developed and developed. We used to have cities. Inside these cities, there were factories. Due to the unforeseen circumstances of having environmental impact assessment, health and safety issues, and civil protection issues, we developed the industrial zones. So the industrial zones were mainly developed to protect the civilians who are not industrials, and we need to protect our children from pollution and other impacts that may have arose. So the industrial zones became. If we recall at the Nasser era and so on, they used to make the factories aside the cities, a little bit further or near it. This industrial zones is crucial and essential for development. But let's remember that, for example, in Mahalla, when they made an industrial zone, they make housing near it because the transportation of employees is important. Returning back, this is how the industrial zones were created. Right. The second part is type of industrial zones. Industrial zones, they have a type related to industry and a type related to incentives. So if you're talking about industries, we have industrial zones that it's a complex or a context. What's the difference? There's an industrial zone where all the people there do the same industry. Like, for example, in Alexandria, we have a special zone for plastic.
Mahalla was textile.
Mahalla is textile, but it's really known for. We have Ta'dan, for example, for marble. We have, and these zones are just mainly for this. Yes, for furniture and so on. And there are other zones that we rather than prefer it, which is the complex. What does that mean? It means that this industrial zones is having not only one own industry, it have other industries. Usually, when you are taking this into consideration, there are really a lot of prerequisites are being taken into consideration when the government is developing an industrial zone. Why is that? As simple as that. Could you imagine a cement factory beside food and beverage?
That's impossible to imagine.
That's it. So the government does not only take into consideration the establishment of an industrial zone, it takes into consideration the activities embedded in these industrial zones. So, okay, is that only what the government does?
The cement industry, of course, being one of the most polluting industries. Yeah.
Definitely, unfortunately, yes. So is that, it's polluting, but there are prerequisites. If the industrial person take it into consideration, it may go to a better, less impact on the environment. The problem in the industrial zones that the government has to establish them away from places where habitats or people stay. So they have to be a little bit further, and there is a huge cost of utilities, because the government is the competent authority for the development of the utilities. The utilities talking about the sanitage, so industrial or not. We're talking about water, electricity, all that. This is really expensive. Is that only what the government do? No, the government also have to create roads. Is that only roads that do? No. Also the government have to make a transportation for the employees or the workers who go to
a complete set of infrastructure.
But yes, definitely, that's what we are talking about. So it is a huge investment that the government is paying for in order to develop industries. So we talked about the part related to activities. The other part is related to the legislative instrument or the legislative, I'm sorry, that's talk about the ports. We have the special economic zone, which is, for instance, Suez Canal and so on. This is have its own law that gives certain privileges. We have, and inside them there is industrial zones. We have other industrial zone that goes for the Industrial Development Authority.
Are they, Dr. Tasneem, geographically spread across the country?
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
we have in Upper Egypt, in the Delta, in the Sinai, in the North Coast.
Yes, everything's different. And every place have its own legislative framework and as well incentives. Upper Egypt and so on, the government is taking very well care of that, and they're giving them very special incentives and subsidized. Not only that, there are great initiatives that the government is trying to do in order to make the people there be well connected to the community, develop. We have, like you've just mentioned, we have empowerment, the rate of employment, how also empowerment of women and youth. All these are being taken into consideration while the government is articulating this. The special zones, economic zones, are mainly, they're besides seas. The special economic zones in Suez Canal, in Ismailia and so on, there's 6.
Yes.
They're beside this for exportation more. So, do we have this only? No. We have free zones, we have investment zones, we have industrial zones. Investment is...
we have next to the Red Sea and next, of course, to the
definitely.
Mediterranean.
Alexandria
and Borg Al Arab.
Yes, this is free zone, investment zone. So, and even there is industrial zones. It depends on what are the differences. It depends on the competent authority, the one competent authority who's issuing the license and the incentives.
All right. We'll be back, Dr. Tasneem, and talk in detail about industrial zones, their importance to development at large here in Egypt and to exports. And talking to you earlier, you had told me that industrial zones are also very important for SMEs. Definitely. So we'll ask you about that as well. But allow us, please, and allow us, ladies and gentlemen, first to watch a report about our main topic for tonight. And when we come back, we will continue our Q&A session here with Dr. Tasneem Elwy.
Thank you.
Small and medium enterprises play a vital role in Egypt's economic development by creating jobs and supporting local industries. However, many SMEs in the new industrial cities, particularly in Upper Egypt, continue to face significant challenges. One of the main obstacles is the limited availability of infrastructure and services in some industrial zones. Although the government has invested heavily in developing industrial complexes and utilities, many businesses still struggle with transportation costs, logistics and access to markets. In addition, obtaining financing remains difficult for many entrepreneurs, despite the support programs offered by the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency. Administrative procedures and licensing requirements can also delay the establishment and the expansion of projects. Furthermore, some industrial zones in Upper Egypt face shortages of skilled labor and technical training opportunities. To overcome these challenges, Egypt has launched initiatives to improve industrial infrastructure, provide ready-made industrial units, expand digital services, and offer financial and technical support. These efforts aim to enhance competitiveness and encourage investment in Upper Egypt's industrial sector.
Thank you very much, Abir Hussein and Rasha Abdelhamid, for this report. And we're back here in the studio with Dr. Tasneem Elwy, the ex-counselor of the Industrial Development Authority, the IDA. Dr. Tasneem, the importance of industrial zones for economic development at large, especially in the Egyptian case.
In the Egyptian case, allow me to say that in order to attract foreign direct investment and huge industries to be there, you have to have a proper facilities, a proper roads, because these investors, when they're coming, they have a compliance. They have to comply with certain prerequisites and satisfy it according to their homeland laws. So it's a type of compliance. In order to be one of the top industrial places, you shouldn't just take care of small, medium enterprises, as this is a huge circle. You should also take into consideration the big factories, or what we call
mega industries,
industries and foreign direct investment.
Yes.
So that's crucial and essential. Also taking into consideration your export. When you do export to Europe, now we are going to face in the very near future what we call tax EU taxation and carbon taxes and carbon credits and so on. From the things that's very good in the industrial zones, that the facilities and the utilities the government is offering is really unique.
They're environment friendly, more or less?
Yes, most of things, like for example now the solar energy, the solar banners, and the government even is trying to incentivize the people who are going green in order to do so. So that's crucial and essential. Also, one of the things that we all talk about is that when a factory is established a little bit far from the city, you find the workers always try to go and stay there, near the factory. There always a kind of urbanization, a kind of development in the area beside these factories. Not only that, it's a huge circle. You're not talking only about the end product, you're talking about a huge circle. People, how many do employment, opportunities that these factories do offer? How many, they do use a lot of electricity, use your raw materials, the roads that have been established for these. This is a huge thing that the government, allow me to say that, for example, there is in Upper Egypt a unique road that has been established to Suhara, something like that. It's fascinating. You just go to any place and it's really nice road. Does this encourage investments to come? Yes, the establishment of new roads and making it kind of a spider net. Finally, we have proper roads that can easily, the commodities can be transferred in less time. You now, instead of all people coming to say, we want to go to Ashur, we want to go to 6th of October, 10th of Ramadan, or whatever, these are very and become
so we're creating new cities, new life,
new everything.
Yeah.
And this is crucial for SMEs, because these big factories do need also a chain. They need a chain. They need from the SMEs some products, so they do cooperate together. So
you mentioned, Dr. Tasneem, the importance of these industrial zones in creating jobs, in reducing the unemployment rate. And the question here is, and because many of these industries do need skilled labor, so do we have like a shortage of skilled labor? Do we have an excess of skilled labor? Does our labor force meet the market needs? I mean, what's the situation like at the moment, and what's the trend like?
Allow me to say that skilled workers is always an issue everywhere, but you have a very low wage rate. It's a win-win situation. So does the government do nothing toward that? Does the investors do nothing toward that? No. If you know what's the name of the Ministry of Education? Yeah,
education and scientific research, is it?
It's
education and
تعليم الفني. I'm sorry. It's
technological
yes.
education.
This is
education and technical education.
This is simply in order to empower our own children, to empower us as Egyptians.
To find the skilled labor that we need.
There are a lot of technical academies that most factories do. I don't want to say names, but there are a lot of Egyptian investors who are already getting their schools. So people get skills, take them from here to there. What's good in what we are saying, that Egyptian people are very smart. So they're getting it like hit. And
so you like that trend within the educational system of forming more technical colleges and technical schools?
Definitely, because we were facing something called the college trauma, that all our children have to go to medical school or engineering, despite the fact who will work and operate. It is a great thing that the government is trying to support, and it is this thing that we have to be. And taking the other things in consideration is that the inheritance of industry has diminished. There are some
What do you mean by the inheritance of industry?
You know, sometimes when I see the small little thing that look like tuk-tuk, it's ridiculous to talk about it. But could you imagine that this has diminished industries? Because people who used to work and very good and very well skilled, for example, for doing very tentative small things, they find the income is not as good as the income that comes from driving.
The wage problem again, you mentioned it at the outset.
So that's why, for example, they leave their part and go there. So when the government is fighting that, it's fighting it because we are diminishing real industries. In Dumyat, for example, this is becoming a real serious issue because you have a very well technical people who knows how to score the wood and make it piece of wood.
World class, yes.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, for decades. I mean, that,
Yeah, unfortunately, these people are going to just leave that and go to an easy way. And maybe not only the wage, it's the time that has been spent. And I think that we all must take into consideration, and I really am happy that the new Minister of Industry have raised, is that he accepted to allow them again for the small, very macro shops, that's technical shops, to be operated in the urban places and inside homes. And this is something new. It's called respect of the culture. Is important.
So do we have like cultural barriers when it comes to industrial zones? I mean, is this a problem? Are we still resisting this sometimes?
It's not resistance, but it's called change. When you operate change, it always takes time in order to accommodate the change. So when we were talking, talk to me about the transition period. So I think we're having a transition period, and we are having what we call is, for example, in textiles and so on, there are some parts in the production that need ladies. So our culture, for example, would not allow a lady to go late, even if it's the working hour would be missing the night shift. So you have to change the whole production dilemma in order to have it morning shift. Despite in other countries this is not there. So respecting of the culture is a key. A culture is not only negative thing, it's a positive thing as well. It's how you use it.
Yeah, of course, it's more positive than negative, I mean, generally speaking.
In Dumyat, for example, they used to have their houses beneath it is their workshop where they used to. When you introduce the new concept, we must accept the way of, no, I want to stay beside my family, I want to eat lunch upstairs. Despite the fact you're going to go better place, it's safer even for your children, for the voices you're doing. Sometimes actually they do not perceive knocking or making loud voice as a pollution. You have to tell them, no, this is a pollution. When you do what, there are threats in the air that can harm our children. If you smell it, it will harm you, distress. Then people are not aware of this. But it's always culture, and it's always we have to accept and tolerate the culture. Not only that, and try to accommodate it. You know the difference between acceptance and tolerance?
Yes.
You have to accept the culture despite the fact of tolerating it. Accept it and try to change it,
A very important point that you mentioned indeed, Dr. Tasneem. Now, what about tax incentives? I want to focus on this if you'll allow me. What's the government doing to attract industries to go to, and businessmen, local businessmen and foreign investors also, to go to industrial zones? The tax incentives part of the equation.
Allow me to say that Currently, they're doing a great steps toward that. Since 2020, there is a law 152 for 2020. This was specially developed for SMEs, defining what's an SME, how to get them special incentives. And despite this was protecting SMEs and giving them huge incentives, they then developed in the same year 205, Law 205 for 2020. That's the Unified Tax Procedures Law, unifying tax procedures, improving tax administration, supporting digital transformation, and so on. And then last year, there were a great shift paradigm in the way of the taxation for incentives. There are 3 different laws that were established just to satisfy. We have to talk to them. Law 5. Law 5, we have a lot of informal people that were afraid to go to the formal sector and be part of the taxation because of the penalties. So law number 5 did not, it settled of tax status, encourage of voluntary registration and reduction of previous tax boundaries, which is the penalties we're talking about. Then we have law number 6. And law number 6 is very crucial. It's not talking about an annual turnover that does not exceed 20 million, which is a huge number. It have a simplified tax rate. It have a unified system, 0.4 for a turnover up to 500,000 Egyptian pounds, 0.5 from 500,000 to 2 million. And then it have also, the maximum thing is 1.5%, which is very low. Compared to the international tax rates that's being taken in other places. This is from 10 million to 20 million. So the government is trying its best. Not that, also we have, when all these were implemented, people yet were not wanted more. And what's good is there is a channel. People now knows how to talk to the government.
Good.
So it came law number 7. That talks about reduction of penalties. So taking all that into consideration makes people better. Also, people have seen the development in roads, the development in the way in some medical places.
What's the channel? Dr. Tasneem, you said that the people now have a good channel in the industrial, in the Ministry of Industry to talk to about their problems and so on.
Allow me to tell you, it's plenty.
Good.
There is the former minister Kamil Wazir used to have a bi-weekly meeting with investors of every zone. Now the current minister is allowing from also he talks to them, he makes workshops and talks and listen to the investors. There were a great workshop where our financial minister, Mr. Kojak, was available talking to people, Engineer Hashim, who's also Minister of Industry, talking. And despite this, there is an automation system. There are channels that the government have facilitated online that you simply can go, put your complaint, and it's being studied. Each competent authority, IDA, GAFI, the Special Economic Zone, MISMEDA, which is the Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, these are the competent authorities. Each one of these have its own website where they have their own hotlines. They didn't all, because they understand that they may be literacy rate in the way of using the internet due to the old age of some people. They respected that. They made a hotline. Despite the hotline and all this, there is a physical presence. You can go physically to these places and talk, and people listen.
Excellent.
This is different.
Dr. Tasneem, what are the challenges facing the expansion of the industrial zones, or the, I'm not going to say the efficiency, but we want to see the industrial zone achieve their potential. I mean, surely they have great potential. Anything in Egypt has great potential because simply this is Egypt with all its, power and know-how. But what are the challenges that you think that we must overcome to have better results, better outcome, a bigger input from the industrial zones into the economy?
It's the way they cooperate, the channel, the communication between investors themselves, as well as that the compliance. People and the decision, as well as the utilities, the cost of energy, the access to finance. All these are some, allow me to say, there are challenges or obstacles that they're facing, but these are huge obstacles that can hinder the growth. Also, the skilled labor is an issue, by the way. Sometimes the wages we have now in Egypt, there's not a ceiling, there's a minimum wage for all people. All this is a burden on investors. This, I think, hopefully they will know how to bypass it. And industrial zones, one of the main obstacles they're facing is that some of them are a little bit far away. But there are roads, and now currently this had been taken into consideration. There are new transportation methods that have been arose, the mineral, the LTRA. There are a lot of things that are being tried. Even the trains have been developed, the metro station have been developed. There are a lot of transportation that's trying to fill the gaps. The skilled labor, the government is trying its best in developing technical schools. The utilities, the government it has to make the utilities at the edge of the land, so they're trying their best to do it. But allow me to say, the competitiveness that we have nationally, internationally especially, is a little bit harsh.
What are your recommendations, Dr. Tasneem? I'm sure, I mean, you're an expert in this field, so you must have some ideas, some recommendations, again, that through which the industrial zones would have a bigger input into development of the economy.
Allow me just to think it out loud. When we were talking, there are a couple of points that you have raised yourself that I would just recall what you said and just say it in a different method. We have to think about what we really have of the raw materials and then develop industries on the raw materials we have. Importing raw materials is not a solution. We have to see the full channel, first thing. Second thing is that the respect of culture and to understand what are the needs of the market is the second thing. Third thing, I really want the demand to be increased and to people to understand that the national industry is really good and to be encouraged to go buy Egyptian products. That's crucial, because if the demand increase, the supplier will be able to develop due to the economics of scale, so the prices will be lower, go down. Another thing is that market surveillance. We do still need market surveillance, because there are some places where the commercials do add prices and so on, and they state that this is due to the taxes and so on. And there's no taxes for this, for example, but you don't understand this part because you're not aware. If there's more market surveillance, that would be better. Another thing is that we need more foreign direct investments. We need more huge factories to operate. Still, this is being greatly supported by our commercial officers outside, but yet there are other things to be done for that. The utilities, the electricity and industrial sanitation, they have been taken into consideration. Also, the concept of zero waste management and the concept of eco-industrial park, which is taking into consideration the environmental impact assessment more a little bit, and to dig deeper for that. That's a real thing we have all to think about. Developing, trying to the carbon footprint of each factory to be decreased in order to have the national contribution determination plan of Egypt to be able to. All these are recommendations, seriously. There are a lot of other things that we can recall, but these are the things I'm thinking about now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tasneem, for a comprehensive overview of the situation. Really, it's been very informative. We always like to have you here, Dr. Tasneem Elwy, the ex-councillor of the Industrial Development Authority, the IDA. Hope to see you again soon, and thank you very much.
It's my honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us. Please do stay with Nile TV International. شكرا.